Hello and welcome to this first tutorial video. I'm Exterminator and thank you for joining me here. And this very first video for my Factorio tutorials is going to be something hopefully that is pretty short and pretty simple and straightforward. Now it may seem at first thought that it is pointless to do a tutorial like this because it is very intuitive. However, I see a lot of questions on the Factorio forums and primarily on the Factorio Reddit regarding a lot of the things I'm going to cover in this, and even though it's pretty easy to find out just by looking in your game options, I think a lot of people learn better by watching. I know I'm one of those people. I learn better by watching or by just like reading answers to something rather than trying to search all around for it in the game. So this very first tutorial is going to be a very simple one, pretty much on key bindings and shortcuts and little other bits that I suppose would kind of fall under shortcuts that I see people ask, and that may not be the most obvious when you first start the game. This is really just for beginners. Anyone who's played this more than probably a few hours will know all these things. So yeah, let's hop into it. Now, this is a map I've been playing for another YouTube series I'm doing, but it will work perfectly fine for what I'm doing in this particular tutorial because it doesn't really involve gameplay, this tutorial. Okay, so if you're new to the game, this is all going to be really confusing, probably, all this. Don't worry about it. Just try to ignore it, and I will get to this in later tutorial videos. So let's get started. First of all, the most simple thing to know is you can in fact see pretty much all the key bindings and shortcuts by going into your menu, by pressing escape, going into options, and going into controls. Now there are quite a lot to look over. There's different categories as well. The editor I'm not going to cover because you probably won't be messing much with that, and I myself have not done a lot with that. These first three categories, however, are pretty prevalent in the gameplay in a normal game. So a lot of things are maybe not labeled in a way that would explain what you're actually looking for. And when you go to look through all these, I know I have this problem, is you this thing happens where you're looking for something and for whatever reason your eyes just skip over it and you cannot find it, even though it might be in here, which is probably why some of these questions are asked a lot, because people either didn't know they could look in here or they did and they couldn't find it because there are just so many things to look over and their eyes skipped over it. So one thing I'm going to cover is if we go back into the game here, and you might have noticed, if you're observant, that all those little icons and stuff that were here and that reddish color on the minimap have disappeared. This is something I see asked a lot. Is something similar to how do I turn on the little icons above the above my machine so I can see what's in them, and how do I tell how far my pollution is spread? And it is in the key bindings. If we go here, it is this one right here, the Alt key. Do that by pressing Alt. Now this is just labeled as show info, which might, it's kind of self-explanatory, oh, show info, okay, that might be what I want, but it doesn't actually give any more detail than that. So when you're looking through here, your eyes might just skip over it and you might really not know that that is what you actually are looking for. So if you want to turn on all these icons and display your pollution levels, all you have to do is press the Alt key, and it will show everything that's in here. It'll show what robots are carrying, and also on your mini map and your main map, it will show your pollution, which is this reddish color, and you can turn it off while on the map if you want to look around, it makes it a lot easier. So that is how you do that. Now, the next few things are going to be just general shortcuts and key bindings that you should probably know. And we will get started here, I guess, with some of the very simple ones. So if I do more of these videos, I'm probably going to do one that just covers what you should do in the early game, and I'm not going to cover the shortcuts for things that I'm doing in that video because I'm going to cover them in this video. And yeah, so let's get started here. Okay, so when you open chests or you open a machine by just left clicking on it, there's several ways you can do things. You can take things out by left clicking on them and setting them in your inventory like so. You can do it the same way from your inventory to the chest and such. However, that's kind of a pain. So one shortcut that is really nice is taking things out of machines or chests without actually opening their UI. So if you kind of want to take something out when you run by it, or if you don't feel like opening the UI if you're in a hurry, all you have to do, and let me find one that's not full because that can cause problems. Okay, so we have a chest here with some shotgun bullets, shells. And if you want to take it, you hold down Control and you left click, and that will take everything that is in the chest. Now, if you have a chest like this with multiple things in it and you just want to take one thing, that shortcut unfortunately will not work, because it'll just take everything. It'll take all these things that are in the chest. However, you can do it once you're in the UI. Instead of clicking and clicking like that and like moving your mouse back and forth, you do the same thing but while in the chest. Hover over it, hold Control, and click. And this will actually take excuse me, this will actually take all of the same type of item that was in that chest. So there's 2 stacks. If I Control left click, it will take all the steel. Now if you just want to take one thing of the steel, the one that you're mousing over, just shift left click and it will take that particular one. Now going into the next part, which kind of ties into this, is taking parts of a stack of materials. If you want to take half of it, say you only need 50 iron, then you can either right click it and that'll take 50 and you can do your drag and drop or drag and click method, or if you shift right click, that'll take 50 of the stack that you're currently hovering over, or if you Control right click, that will take 50%, half of all of the same type of material that is in the chest. And if you let's see, what is next here? So that takes care of that. Now the same can be applied when you are putting things into a chest. Again, you can open it, drag and drop, click and drop, but that's kind of a pain. So say I want to put some of this belt in this chest. I can pick it up out of my inventory like this, like I'm going to place it, and if I mouse over the chest, hold Control and then click, it'll put the stack I have in there. Now the robot just brought it to me because I'm requesting it, but you can put things in a chest that way. So you can do that. Now if you want to put half of a stack into a chest, it's the same thing as taking it out. You Control right click, half of your stack goes into the chest, and my little robots will bring it to me. Of course, that's because I'm requesting it again. And if you shift left click, it doesn't do anything. If you shift right click, it doesn't do anything. You can't put all of one item into a chest without opening its UI. Now if you do open its UI, you can do the same thing as taking it out. If I Control left click, it'll put all the same type of item in. Okay? If I Control right click, it'll put half of all the same type of item in. And again, shift left click, the one stack I'm hovering over, shift right click, half the stack I'm hovering over. So that pretty much covers the main kind of shortcuts that may not seem obvious, or that if you're, if you go to watch the next tutorial video where I cover the early game and you see me transferring stuff in between different machines, that is how I'm doing it. You can do the same thing with assembler. Say I want everything that's out of here, I just can run by it, control left click, bam, I take everything that's in it. So if we make another one here, if I run by and control right click, it'll take half of what's in there. So that covers that. Another thing that is really good to know, which is probably really quite easy to find in the key bindings, but I'll go over it anyway, is say you want to, say I drop some stuff on the ground here, which I'll tell you how to do in a minute. So there's all kind of junk on the ground. If I want to go pick it up, I hold F and run over things, and it will pick up whatever is on the ground underneath me. Same with a belt. I do that a lot to just gather materials if I don't have them in a chest. And my inventory just filled up. So we'll just use our trick again. Let's say, oh, I don't want all this wood, so let's just put the wood in a chest, and the little robots take it away. And to drop materials on the ground, you pick up the stack as if you're going to place it, and you press Z. Holding Z does not do anything. So you have to press it once for each time for each item you want to drop, but if you want to do that, there's not a whole ton of use for that, really. In multiplayer, there kind of is, but not even that much there. So that is most of the key bindings. I might be forgetting a few things. I think that's pretty much all of it. Oh, one other thing I see asked a little bit is that people ask, like, how do you shoot like one particular object, right? So if there's aliens coming at me, these guys just died, but if there's aliens coming at me, if you hold down space and hold your mouse kind of over the general area where they are, your guy will auto-target the aliens one by one until they're each dead. So if you just hold space and hold your mouse over where they are, you'll auto-shoot the aliens, but nothing else. And so that's how you do that. But say you wanted to shoot, like, let's go find a tree here. Say you wanted to go shoot a tree. Let me go find some trees. Okay, say you want to shoot a tree here. Holding space doesn't do anything. So you hold down the C key and mouse over whatever you want to shoot, and it will target that specific item. Now that does work as well for things in your base, so be a little careful with that, because you can accidentally shoot your own things. But I think that is pretty much it for the key binding shortcut things. One other thing I would like to go over for that is you can actually assign slots in your inventory to specifically only hold one item, which can be really useful. So if you want, say this first slot, if I want it to just hold, let's say, belts, if you middle mouse click it, so your scroll wheel, if you have that on your mouse, and it brings up a list of every item in the game you can have, and then you just select it. So say I want belt. Okay, so that means nothing else besides belt can go in there, you can see. And when you pick up something, so let's put this in a chest. When I pick up something, it'll automatically put it in the slot I want. So the robots just brought it to me, as you could see. Let's actually do it with like this. It'll be a little easier. If I take that, it automatically puts it in the slot I assigned. And that can be a lot easier, especially because you can select your items in here by using your number keys. 1 through 5 is these first 5, and then shift 1 through 5 is these next ones. You cannot get these bottom ones. However, you can switch it by pressing X, and it will flip the bottom to the top and top to the bottom, so you can do it that way. But this becomes really useful if you use these hotkeys to select things from your inventory, because say I want to place belt, I press 1, I place some belt or whatever, To put it back in your inventory where it goes, just press Q, and it will automatically drop it back in the slot you assigned. And then that way, every time you go to press 1, you know there's going to be belt there, unless you're out of belt, of course. But that makes it much easier. Now, if you do go to place something, let's say a pipe, or these belts, you go to place them, and press Q, it'll put them back in your inventory, but if you have not assigned a slot for them, it will not necessarily go where you took it from, and your inventory can get all messy and mixed up like mine is now. So that is a really useful thing to know. The same thing can be applied to train cars. I do not have a train in my stations at the moment. Here's one that will come here soon, hopefully. Maybe. If I go to a train car, you can assign slots in it to only hold specific items. Now, if you're just picking up one material, like I am here, you don't need it. But say I wanted this to also pick up oil. Let's say I had an oil filling outpost right here. I wanted the train to stop by. Same thing, middle mouse click, and select, okay, I only want barrels here. So that means nothing else besides barrels will go in this particular slot. And that helps a lot. Of course, I would like to undo that since I don't need it that way, but you can do that with train cars and it really helps. Now, if we go back into our key bindings here really quickly, if you don't have a middle mouse button, let me see. Set filter. Okay, you can change all these key bindings, by the way. So if you don't have a middle mouse button, you can change this to be something else. And as you can see here, if you want to clear the filter that you've set, then you just shift. Correct? Was I not correct here? Oh, sorry. Control middle mouse click. And it will disable the filter you set. Okay, I think one last thing I want to cover. I actually saw someone ask this today on the Factorio Reddit, and I've seen people ask it before, is how do you modify your power armor or modular armor? Once you get past your steel armor, you can get modular armor and then power armor 1 and power armor Mark 2. And you can put module things in them. You can put upgrade type things in them. And a lot of people ask, how do you do that? Because if you click it, it just takes it out. If it's in your inventory, you click it, it doesn't do anything except pick it up. Control click it, it puts it back in here. Shift click, back in here. How do you open it? It's actually pretty simple, really, but I don't know if it's in the key binding in the controls section. You just right click it and it opens it up. And then all you have to do is either drag and click and drop to remove stuff, or just shift. Now it's telling me my inventory is full, so I'm going to go ahead and move some of this, but you do that and it will put it in. Now, unfortunately, you can't do that reverse. You can't take like control or shift click this back into it. You have to drag and click. But that's how you open that. Just right click it while it's in your inventory. If you right click it here, it does actually work too. But it may not be the most obvious thing on how to open it, so you just right click it and it will open it up as if it's an inventory, and you can remove and place items into it. I think that is it for this first tutorial. Hopefully it was not too long. Hopefully it was helpful to you. I kind of would have liked to have had a tutorial like this when I first started, because Factorio can be quite overwhelming when you first start, all the shortcuts and stuff, and I really do hope this helped you with figuring out a few things you might have been confused with. So if you did enjoy, leave a like, and feel free to comment if you have any more questions or comments or concerns or suggestions for improvements. I would love to hear them. But for now, I think that's going to be it. I look forward to doing the next tutorial and seeing you guys there. But for now, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care.